Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Buongiorno.
Ruben Bressler.
How you doing? What's up?
With nothing. You just waking up, buddy?
Oh yeah, I mean always. I'm planning on taking a nap after this, as I always do.
Very nice. Takes it right out of you.
That's right.
Well, I do know we also kick it off with our trumpet blast. You can get one if you support us to our highest level on Patreon, if you want to talk about maybe a birthday or an event or something.
Or if you just want Evan to sing for you, one of our lovely magic charities. Yeah.
I am here for you to sell my singing services. That said, we'll kick it off. The first pick in the giveaway. The giveaway is in the stream right now in the chat. ! Raffle gets you in there. You get 2 entries if you're a subscriber, so please subscribe so you can get that extra chance. That said, and thanks Cool Stuff for the giveaway, but we're going to get started with the first pick. And, oh my goodness, we have quite the announcement this week. The series for Netflix is creatively called Magic the Gathering. We have no other information or if there's a subtitle. It's an animated series taking place in the world of Magic the Gathering, but it's not adapting any story arcs that you know. The storyline is going to be completely new and original. And so that's the thing. Netflix is joining forces with Joe and Anthony Russo. Those are the guys who made The Winter Soldier, Infinity War, like gigantic movies of awesomeness. Wizard of the Coast and Hasbro's Allspark Animation to bring Magic to the screen for the first time. It's going to be incredible. The Russos are going to oversee the new storyline. They expand on the stories of the Planeswalkers, of course. Let's see. There's going to be production, and we're talking like big-time writers, people who've worked on like Star Wars Rebels. It's people who've animated Rick and Morty. Like, you know, these are awesome shows that are great. Producers, executive producers, lead writers from, again, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, The Tick, Agent Carter, and all that stuff. So we have essentially like an A+, awesome, sick team to make an incredible Magic the Gathering animated show, and that is awesome. That is just awesome.
Yeah, I think this has all of the ingredients of a successful show. I guess my only concern is that Wizards has been notoriously restrictive when it comes to, you know, their characters and their licenses. You know, they're still not big fans of fan art, for God's sakes. And so, you know, if they can sort of loosen the reins a little bit and let these guys and girls kind of run free, I think we're in for a really good show. But I do worry that Wizards is not going to be able to keep their fingers out of the pie. And
you're not wrong.
Yeah, we're going to run into like a development hell situation, or we're going to run into a creative differences thing. And like, there's also the potential for a disaster.
It has been a problem in the past, particularly if they're trying to do something that's Netflix and anime and maybe like a little bit of comic book, like that kind of stuff. That is where fan art lives. You know, that is where fan fiction lives. And if Hasbro comes down on people for doing that, then people are going to get cold feet and shy away, because that is a major way that fans engage with properties.
Yeah.
So that is a worry, and I can completely appreciate that. The headline for me here is that this is the realist, the most concrete, actual, this is going to happen for something that we've talked about, I think, every year since I started playing Magic in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, hey, there's a comic book coming. Hey, there's a show coming. Hey, there's a movie in the works. Hey, there's an anime, you know, and it's never done anything. Even on this show, we talked about the movie that got caught in development hell. And, you know, it's just never happened.
But this one, considering the press that it got, considering
a lot of press,
tons of press, they really pushed this. This made like the ticker in New York and stuff like that, you know, for the stock exchange or whatever. Like this was big news in terms of entertainment property and working with the Russo brothers and the people who made Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Batman the Animated Series. Like we got some
BTAS, yes.
We have some serious creds here. I'm super duper pumped. If it goes as well as it could, which I'm expecting, hoping, you know, it could have a huge influx of players in the game. This is good for friendly local game stores just as much as it's good for Magic Arena. Like,
yeah, Doug Beyer sent out a tweet to that effect. If he was like, you know, the Netflix show has the potential to bring in all these new faces, you know, let's be really welcoming. And then our next topic happened.
No, not the next one. We're getting there.
Sure. Okay.
Because there was even more crazy, gigantic news happening as we move in to gather the townsfolk. The London Mulligan, 2 days ago on Monday morning. Not only did we get the incredible Netflix show announcement, the London Mulligan is going to happen and is going to be official as of the release of Core Set 2020, which is pretty incredible. So, for those who don't know, right now, if you mulligan, you draw 7, then you draw 6, and if you want to keep it, you scry 1. If you don't like it, you draw 5, you put it back, you draw 5. If you like it, you can scry 1. Well, now you draw 7. If you don't like it, you put it back, you draw 7. If you don't like it, you put it back and you draw 7. And when you finally keep, I know, right? And then you can also serum powder in the middle of that. Enjoy. But when you're finally happy with whatever you pulled from the 7, you then put that X number of cards, which is X number of times you put it back and drew a new hand, put X number of those cards on the bottom of your library. They're going to debut this in Arena for the Singleton event, which is going to be the next Ravnica thing. Wizards still will not ban persistent petitioners out of Singleton, and it hurts my soul. Out of Singleton.
Huh. No, that's not good.
And this is the way I explained it. This is the way I would like to explain it to the world for those listening to me right now. Look, many years ago, we got rid of rules because they were embarrassing to explain.
Yeah, they were.
Why did damage on the stat go away? Because you were embarrassed to explain how you just blew your opponent out because they didn't understand what was going on. When you say Singleton is a format where you can only play one of each card, except these two, which you can play hundreds of, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's uncomfortable and weird and against the spirit of the format. I don't care if the win percentage isn't there. It's still the fun police, and it's still weird to even explain.
Yeah, I think this is a really good move. I do want to point you guys to, there's a young man who goes by the name of Chubby Rain. He's a very popular vintage streamer, very good deck brewer, all around good guy. Chubby's been trying to get more people, streaming vintage and more people playing vintage, as we all want to do. And he wrote a really nice post, a nice Google document about his take on how the London Mulligan is going to affect specifically vintage. And there's been a concern lately because Karn has been super dominant in vintage. It's basically been Narset versus Karn. Like, it's been kind of dual decks vintage lately. And he says that one of the issues with vintage specifically, and even Legacy to a certain extent, is that they tested this before War of the Spark came out. So before War of the Spark came out, the things that happened in vintage were pretty reasonable. Dredge didn't have the high win rate that people were anticipating. Shops actually saw a lot more play, which people weren't anticipating. And it seemed like the format was getting close to kind of correcting itself, or being a self-correcting format, which is a good thing. But then War of the Spark happened, and we're now doing London Mulligan, but now with Karn and Narset. That's terrifying. And so he's definitely putting up some red flags there. He has some really reasoned analysis. I can post a link in the chat if anybody wants, but there's a lot of concern there. A lot of these guys who are going to SCG Con this weekend for the vintage are not that excited about it because this metagame is scary right now. And if you give people a chance to, it was terrifying enough when you could always have a Ravager, or always have a Sphere, or always have, a Workshops, but now to always have a Karn or always have a turn one Narset is frightening. And so I'm anxious to see if it's going to lead to any bans, because people wanted Outcome to go, and Outcome is gone. No one's playing Outcome anymore. Look at the Legacy Narset formats with blue cards everywhere. It could get very scary.
It could. It's fun, to be the old man Magic here, because I have literally lived through every Mulligan system that Magic has ever had, including the first one, which was all land or no land, and you had to prove it by showing your opponent your hand.
Are you serious?
That's how you proved it. You said, I have no land, and you just had to show what you were playing. Or your one land was a Keldor Outpost. That happened to me multiple times. Or your one land was a Strip Mine.
Keldor Outpost.
Multiple times. Oh, yes. Wow. Later to the Paris Mulligan in Vancouver.
Did I tell you that Trick sent me a message the other day where he was like, "What's up, girl?" And I'm like, "Hey, daddy." And he's like, "You see that Mulligan?" I'm like, "Mm." And he's like, "Hope you like that." And I was like, I love it. Thank you. So.
Now, starting with the tabletop, of course, at 2020 pre-releases on July 5th, the new Mulligan rule will be used for all play. However, stores may opt to enact the new rule for regular REL and lower events, including the Modern Horizons pre-release, before the official rules change on July 5th to give players the opportunity to test it out, see how it feels. Competitive REL events cannot use the new rule until the official change.
Oh, wow.
That's a thing that you can. So you can get a little sneak peek now. That's kind of neat. So that's a thing in the stuff, which is fun.
I'm excited for it. Though.
Also,
I'm glad.
Yeah, well, know that Commander is adopting it.
Yes.
You're still going to get the free mulligan for games with more than 2 players, but then you get to
I think it's fine. I think the people that were going to do broken things, if their decks were built correctly, they're redundant enough where they're going to find it anyways, and so I think it's fine. Everything's fine.
Very nice. All right, so moving on, we have the.
I just want to pause for a second and say I like the way that Evan says "moving on." He does it every week, but that one had a nice pause in it, and I was just like ruminating in that. It just felt like I had a
ruminating wrestler.
I was sitting in a back porch swing having some iced tea. Moving on.
Hey y'all! I figured we got this. Nice. We got this GoFundMe thing.
Oh no!
Sure.
Oh yes.
And now we're back to reality. I was having such a good time, and now we have to do this.
You was in the tree swing back there, and you just heard hearing the cicadas and going to eat some honeysuckle or something. It's gonna be great. But look, we have an issue currently in the community, and it is a self-inflicted wound by Wizards of the Coast. It is something that I understand why it's happening, and I understand why Wizards is doing it the way they're doing it. Essentially, you're guaranteed to minimum cash a Mythic Championship $500. Okay, that's your floor, right? No matter what happens, you're going to make at least that much money, even if you just scrub right out. But in order to get to somewhere like Barcelona, Spain, that's not necessarily cheap, depending on where you're at in the world. If you're in the U.S., you're probably looking at least 4 figures to get over there, and then however much it costs to stay there and eat and so on and so forth. And so, as Magic players are wont to do, we're not always the best with the monies or the dollars, and so there have been GoFundMes for various players or sets of players to get to Barcelona to play in the event. And one thing leads to another, and Magic players, being somewhat Magic playery, start to go, wait a minute, you know, if they're getting on it, maybe I can get in on it. And then you start to have posts of people talking about their foil decks that they got foiled out before they won the event, but now they need money because they have all these foil cards that they couldn't just turn into money. So, and that's the extreme egregious, like, grifting end of it. And then the other end of it is just people who just want to live the dream and just play in their first Mythic Championship because that's the echelon, and they've been trying to get to it for years, and it's pure and that's heartfelt. And then Matt Sperling showed up,
as you do,
as he's wont to do, and kind of makes fun of a lot of people who are running them. And so that goes about as well as a lead balloon, unfortunately. And then, of course, Kibler had to just come in from the top rope.
God bless Kibler.
Being as awesome as Kibler is, explaining that you got to empathize with having dreams, guys. You know, there's so much cynicism in the world. You don't have to give these people a hard time, all right?
Do you know what this reminds me of? Do you remember when, there was some political candidate recently who was talking about free college or like giving college to everybody. And some dumbass news reporter was like, well, I had to pay for college and so everybody would have to. And he got roasted on Twitter where it was like, no, that the correct response is I went through this and you all shouldn't have to. That's what this reminds me of. You have a lot of people that did kind of come up through the day that did have to borrow money or did have to sell their decks. And that somehow means that they wanted it more, or it's some sort of, if you don't do that, it means you don't care. Like it's really sick in a way to think that you want everyone to suffer the way that you did, where that's not how it should be at all. And you know, one might even say that's privilege, if you will, but you know, to say that you could do that, like it just doesn't make any sense. And so to say that you want people to suffer the way that you did, you've got it all wrong. Right. And this is such an easy thing to like, I'm not donating to the GoFundMes. I'll be completely honest, but I also don't need to tell you that. Like, do you know what I did?
Right.
When people retweeted the GoFundMes, do you know what I did? I kept scrolling. Do you know how easy that was? To just take your little finger and keep it moving. That's all you had to do. This didn't need a comment. You didn't have to shout it from the rooftops that you feel this way. All you had to do was sit on your hands and do nothing. And apparently that's really hard for a lot of people.
I think it's worth saying that not only Kibler telling his story, which of course, when I was a 15-year-old kid and first qualified for the Pro Tour, my mother helped pay for my travel. I know many people don't have that privilege. So link me the legit Mythic Championship fundraisers, and I'll donate to all of them, which is a great thing to do from a place of privilege. And we heard many other stories from many other pros. The one that stuck out to me was Jacob Wilson.
Yes.
Tweeted, when I was 18, my net worth was negative $6,500. I offered a friend 100% of my Pro Tour winnings for a flight because I truly loved playing Magic. Matt Nas, just bought me the flight and said, pay back when you can. Luckily, I got second and a 300% raise from CFB. Yeah. And those are not the only two data points in this story. There were lots of personal stories about starting out. I know for me personally, I grew up in a really healthy, upper middle class. I thought it was upper middle class. Maybe it was just middle class, but I always felt like I couldn't want for more. But I qualified for a Pro Tour in Japan and didn't go. It had nothing to do with money as far as I'm aware, because it was during the school year and I had to deal with my parents that I wasn't going to take time off of school to go to a Magic tournament in Japan. But, those are not uncommon stories of, hey, I've achieved this goal, but I can't do it. Primarily because of monetary reasons.
Yeah. I mean, let's back up here for a second. Now note, Wizards of the Coast, before they changed to this entirely new system with the MPL and the Mythic Championships and whatever, have been spending literally millions of dollars flying players all over the world to their events. That was part of winning the event, was getting you there. If that didn't happen, people like Paulo Vitor would not exist. We wouldn't know who he was.
Right.
He wouldn't have any opportunity to play.
You were not only paying for their plane ticket, but you were playing for their loyalty. Those guys were going to every PTQ. Those guys were going to every GP, every Pro Tour they qualified for. Now you're putting that money into these streamers that you're chasing that may not be here when the next game shows up on their Twitch bounty board. So you have to ask yourself, was it worth it?
And I'm not sure if it isn't. And the other part is just, it's like, I guess maybe it's a Southern thing. My mom always said, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, you don't always have to say anything. You just shut up. You can be quiet. It's cool. It's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. You don't have to explain how you feel about these GoFundMes. Sometimes you can just let it go. Just let it go. It's not you. It's not you. If it's not them and you don't care, then just keep moving. It's fine. All right.
It's just, I think it's something I keep bringing up repeatedly is that, this is not, I love to talk about PR nightmares and I love to talk about how something is just, unsalvageable or what have you, but this is so easily fixed. If somebody could just, get on Twitter or get on Reddit and spin this somehow, or try to contradict a lot of this messaging that's going on. But we're going on day 4 of talking about this. That is ridiculous that the only people who are trying to turn this ship around are the Jacob Wilsons and the Kiblers. How is nobody from Wizards trying to moderate this or control this?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's baffling that this isn't a scandal that should be generating this much controversy. If you had community management, it shouldn't be as loud as it is, and it shouldn't be going on as long as it is. It's just very frustrating to me.
I would also add, I thought that, I'm going to shift direction slightly, Evan, if you had a response to that.
Well, no, I would just say the conversation after a while actually shifted towards poker and selling percentages.
That's exactly where I was going to go. Yep.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Well, there you go. I literally think that's part of what it evolved into, which was selling parts of your winnings. Ruben, tell us about how that works.
Right. So, selling action 101. I'm not sure we've ever talked about this between the three of us, whether in private or in person or anywhere.
Well, we tend to talk about selling action on the pre-show. But...
fair enough. So the way that selling action works in poker is unique and interesting. And there was a very good piece on CNN recently that my good friend Ryan LaPlante took part in. My friend Ryan is a World Series of Poker bracelet winner. He is, I believe he is the first openly gay bracelet winner. He had a viral thing go viral 4 years ago when he won his bracelet. Anyway, he's also just a stone cold genius and knows all of the ins and outs of getting backing and selling action and all of that kind of business in poker. So the way that it works, particularly for tournaments, which I'll stay away from cash game and go towards tournaments for poker backing, because that's what we're talking about here, is backing for Magic tournament. Basically, what you would do in the simplest terms is if the entry fee to an event in poker is $10,000, right? The World Series of Poker main event is a $10,000 buy-in tournament. Spoiler alert, not everyone has $10,000. Not everyone playing in that tournament has $10,000 to buy into that tournament. So what they do is one of the things that they do is they say, I will sell 10% of my action for 10% of the buy-in. I still get to play, but your $1,000 invests directly into me, and then whatever I win, you get 10,000 of it, or you get 10% of it. Mm-hmm. And if I lose, then we both lose. And this is very common. Players will typically sell between 25 to 75% of their action. I've sold half my action for most of the tournaments I've ever played in, where I had half of myself, and then some number of friends had half of me as well, because they gave me a couple $100 for whatever was going on. This would be very similar. Now, Magic tournaments are much cheaper buy-ins, but we're talking about essentially buying into the sponsorship for flights and hotel as well. Mm-hmm. So if there's no buy-in to the Pro Tour, we're still talking about the cost to benefit analysis of how much it takes to get to the Pro Tour to get whatever the minimum prize is. Mm-hmm. So for Barcelona, is there a minimum prize for the Mythic Championship? Is
$500?
There's a $500 minimum prize, and a flight to Barcelona there and back is, let's say, $800. Let's say minimum, probably, and then 3 nights in a hotel, 5 nights in a hotel, plus meals, whatever. Let's say it's $1,500.
Yeah, total.
Let's say that it's $1,500. You subtract the $500 from it, you're asking for $1,000 in backing, right? Mm-hmm. And so you get 10 of your friends, or you get 5 of your friends to back you for your buy-in or whatever. Now, it doesn't exactly translate, and you'd have to work the math out to make it work. But essentially, in that way, if your friends paid for your trip, they would get some of that $500 back minimum, right? Mm-hmm. So if they spent $100 to get 10% of your action and you scrubbed out, they would get $50.
Right.
That would be kind of what we're talking about here. Now, the higher the equity of the player, if I'm LSV and I'm selling action, or if I'm the LSV of poker and I'm selling action, I'm not selling it 1-to-1. I would say, if you want to buy 10% of my action, it's going to cost you 1.5x, right? And so the better you are, the more you can charge on your investment, et cetera. That's essentially how backing in poker works, and that is sort of the discussion that was brought up here.
Now, it also applies to Magic, and from at least back in the day, which is whenever, and Mr. Labufu noticed this in chat, which is whenever you would borrow cards from somebody and you win something in the event, you would give them. Yeah, you would give them part of what you won, because without their cards, you wouldn't have been able to play to start with. So that's normal. So either way.
Yeah, I've done this before. Whenever I borrow cards, sometimes I'll be entering an event that has an exclusive playmat or something. Mm-hmm. Whenever it's been a long time since I've owned a drawer full of different decks. And so fortunately I have enough clout and provenance in the community that I can borrow decks from people, and it's not a question whether I'm going to return them. Yeah. So that's fortunate for me. Not everybody has that luxury.
Yeah.
All right. So from the vague department, Wizards of the Coast announced today improvements to upcoming card stock. They say as early as June 7th, you may start noticing some slight variances to War of the Spark card stock.
They could not have waited any longer for this announcement then.
Up just 2 days before, y'all. They were starting to experiment with different playing cardboard in the Japanese market. In 2018, they expanded distribution of that stock to other markets with both Battlebond and Ultimate Masters. And there's multiple reasons they're pleased with this new paper.
Which they're not telling you.
This is about as close as you're going to get as to what it does and how it fixes things. In particular, we are happy with improvements in areas of our development focus, surface consistency for printing, improved card cutting, as well as rigidity and, quote, snap.
Now listen, the snap is very important to me. I love that when I'm playing and I'm bringing back a blood gas, I am snapping it. I want you to see it. I want you to hear it. I want you to know it's coming for you. So the snap means a lot to me, Wizards. I'm very excited about that.
What about rigidity, though?
You can find out how I feel about that on the pre-show as well. So.
I do gotta say that whenever I play Battlebond, which for my money is one of, if not the best limited experiences I've ever had. I wouldn't say the best limited set because you can't really it's apples to oranges with traditional limited. Yeah, but right. it feels really good, and the cards do feel good. Like they feel different in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. And to know that is on purpose is reassuring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, at Cool Stuff, we did the auctions for the Japanese booster boxes, and I got to open some of those, and you can feel that Japanese cards do.
Yeah,
they have a different finish. You know, they just have a different kind of feel in your hand.
It can take the wind out of your sails. Like I don't know if I've ever talked about this, and I'm not sure if I'm supposed to, but we'll find out. When I was at the pre-release, my box, like my pre-release box, had warped cards, and that was a sealed. Nobody had looked at it. Nobody touched it. I opened it up, and there were beyond, like, not even like, kind of, or like, you lay it down and you're like, maybe, possibly. Oh no, girl. Like there were warped cards. And I was like, well, damn. And like, I just assumed that like, even for that, like, because I assumed we would have gotten like a different batch or a better batch or something. But I was just like, I was so excited. I'm sitting there and I got Surge and I got Adam and I got Graham, and I open and I'm like, you could hear like the record stop of like, and you're like, and so yeah, it was weird.
Well, maybe as rigidity is as rigidity does.
This is going to be my new Chris Cox. I'm not going to be like get through it.
But that card rigidity, you see, it was amazing. So
I'm sorry.
I just hope it improves things. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying. All right. So Redbull Untapped is happening. It is a new tournament series. $200,000 in the prize pool, plus a Mythic Championship invite with 2 Magic Arena qualifying events and 2 tabletop qualifying events in Florence and Brussels. Thanks. And that's pretty incredible, honestly. We have a $200,000 tournament that isn't, as far as I know, directly funded by Wizards of the Coast, and it's in fact funded by Red Bull.
Nice.
So that is terrific.
Yeah. This is a huge deal. It's first of all, that's a good number, 200,000. And it's a pretty small player pool that they're going to choose from.
Right.
I really wish that they would have kept the trivia tiebreaker, personally, because I think that is hilarious and amazing. Just as a way to end rounds.
I would have been more excited for like a lip sync for your life myself, just to see like
also good
like Ben Stark and Andre Strosky having to duke it out to Love is a Battlefield. That would be.
I love it. Add it to the comp rules as a way to we can't end in a draw. Well, dance battle. All right, we're doing it. I think that this is such a cool idea, and I'm really excited to see. So up to 16 MPL players per event, which is half of the MPL. Mm-hmm. Others to be added to the pool for random selection. So if you're a popular Twitch streamer, you might get chosen as a
not just popular. I mean, up to 34 with 10,000 followers. Like,
oof. You got to have 10K followers. You got to have we don't qualify, right? How many followers do we have?
A little over. We just cracked 3,400 the other day.
3,400. So yeah. We do not qualify in that section there, but
we are not cool enough.
But we could fall in the remaining slots.
We could. Yeah, up to 40 Mythic ranked players in Magic the Gathering Arena. Have you guys been Mythic this month? Last month?
I don't even know what that means.
I wasn't Mythic last month. I didn't play enough to get there. But then the minimum 100 players from Europe. I like also, giving Europe more things, right? They got this modern thing that we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. They got this Red Bull thing now. Really cool. And so I just think that this is a great little initiative.
Oh, it's terrific. And there seems to be qualifiers that are going to be ran, I believe, at stores, but I'm not sure if I...
Yep. In Europe, yeah.
Right.
Yes, they're offline qualifiers. They are actually at venues. It looks like there's pictures of the venues, and the venues are sweet. There's one at the Stazione Leopolda in Florence, and then there's one at the Square Brussels, and they're beautiful venues. Nissa Cosplay is going to be there. RK Post is going to be there, of course. Seems like there's, good prize support, lots of space, lots of room for people to go. These are sweet. I would go.
And there's going to be live coverage.
Absolutely.
That's there at the bottom of the page. I'll go ahead and copy and paste the URL there for you. Untap your potential is the tagline for the event. And I think this is one of those sort of terrific things that happens as a result of Arena being great. Arena's great. It's working. People are excited. And here comes that Red Bull money. And that's what we were working for. Like, this was the means to an end. This is what they were, like, hoping would happen, is that Wizards doesn't, foot the bill for everything.
I'm looking forward to all of those articles where, like, how every pro has written that article where it's like, you should drink diet water and eat carrots. Like, that's what people do to, like, boost their competitiveness. Like, I'm looking forward to all of them getting sponsored by Red Bull, where it's like, screw that. It's Red Bull and Kit Kats. Go.
The Red Bull, I got to say that whoever has been in charge of the initiative, and I think it's probably the same folks that we've been a little bit frustrated with the communication. It's similar folks who are getting these deals done with Netflix and Red Bull and these big other sponsors. So that's a lot of money. That's cash flow, baby.
I think that what it comes back to, though, is what we touched on a little bit in the pre-show, is this all boils down to cost, where it's not only the cost of these events, it's not only the money that's coming in, but at what cost are we paying for this, aside from the monetary value, where, that's $200,000, but look at all the confidence that's been lost in the game. Evan, you've been very vocal about the fact that GP attendance has been terrible lately. And so, can you say that it was worth it? Can you look at this Red Bull event and say this is a success when everything that's been lost so far, you're paying so much more for these things than just monetary?
Well, I mean, there's a few things about that. One, I think the GP experience has gotten so expensive. Like, it's gotten really, really expensive. And two, the attendance, at least for the U.S., and again, I think the EU's been doing really, really well, and that's fantastic, and I'm happy about that. But, I also like the U.S. events to do well, too. We were was kind of there in New Jersey when there were 5,000 people in the building for an event. That was amazing. But now we have an 850-person event last weekend, and, I mean, no coverage, some text coverage, right? But, like, there's this, like, weird, and I can see it when I talk to the people who go, or at Cool Stuff Inc., who actually go to the Grand Prix events and event. Yeah, and there's, it gets slow. The room it gets smaller. There's less players. There's less enthusiasm, and the dream. Wizards has taken what you would describe as the dream, which is you go to this event in order to do well at this event, to get these pro points, to get in that club, so you can get your invite eventually when you get all your pro points because you squeezed out your X3 or whatever for the event. Like, they're taking that away, and because they're taking that away, people have stopped caring. And this is anecdotal, okay? I can't give you data on this, but I can tell you what I hear on the ground, either the boots on the ground at the events or the boots on the ground actually at the store. When I talk to grinders who actually care and actually did want to get to the Pro Tour, the wind is out of their sails, like, completely. They just don't care, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But
even the hashtag, I tend to catch up on my news via the hashtag, so I'll click on MTG Atlanta or SCG whatever, and I usually get a feel for, like, what's happening and the deck list and what people are talking about. And even last weekend the hashtag was dead, where, like, no one was talking about this event. It was horrible. And
I think Chessius in the chat there, it's like, what role do GPs play anymore? I don't know. I guess they're nice. They pay out some money. So if you want to try to earn some money, there's your dream, right? But that's not enough.
It's funny how the pros, it used to be the conversation that the top echelon pros wouldn't go to Star City Games open events.
I remember that, yeah.
because all there was to earn there was money. There was no clout. There was no additional.
Remember when they used to fight over what was harder? What GP? Yeah, they used to get very West Side.
I'm not going to sully myself with these open weekends, regardless of how much money. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what's happening?
Now, I mean, and this is part of, SCG stayed the course in terms of this is how we're going to promote people. We're going to star build our people. We're going to have a leaderboard. We're going to pay attention to it. And yeah, it doesn't fulfill everything that Wizards is trying to do now with diversity and whatnot, but it is a system that is clear and is promoted and is covered in video every single time. And
quick shout out to SCG Con. We're not going to cover it much this week, but it looks like a really cool event, and I'm excited for people to have fun there.
There you go. All right. So, Channel Fireball, it's taken until June 2019, year of our Lord, 2019. We finally, for Grand Prix events from, they say here, from hashtag MTG Kansas onward, they were moving to online-only decklist submission. Oh my God, we got there. Never would I have thought 9 years ago when I'm like struggling at STG, and later, a couple years later, when we're GP Richmond, when there's like lines out the door through the street friggin' everywhere, that we can finally have online submission, 100% online submission. It's not, it's not optional. You must do this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it seems like the majority of people fell in line with it. We were a little concerned because, some people, Magic players, as much as we love them, are not the most organized folks, or maybe they're not as tuned in or as connected as they should be. But based on what I heard, I think there were very few. I think like a single-digit number of people didn't do it. And that's pretty good. That's excellent.
Wait, are you telling me that a Magic player will buy a plane ticket for an event that they haven't paid for?
Or they're going to borrow cards. They're going to show up to an event and not even have the deck built yet, and ask the day before to borrow the cards, or the day of. Absolutely.
This certainly reminds me of. So the feeling that I got when I heard this was very similar to the feeling I got when I heard that AOL Instant Messenger was shutting down, or that they were stopping making laptops that had CD-ROMs in them anymore, right? Where it was just I guess that is a thing that you have to announce, but we've moved past it. Why is this still a thing that we have to announce? It felt it felt like an artifact, a small reminder of a simpler time. This is a change that needed to be made, and I'm glad that it was made, and now we can move on.
I'm a little sad though, because
advanced lives.
I'm sad though. I'm a little bit sad because I can't flex on people with my handwriting anymore. I used to get promos from judges that were like, "You had the prettiest handwriting in the room."
Sure.
I'll take it. I'll take all your tokens. It's fine.
Very nice. Well, Emily, co-host on the playset, Visa_MTG notes, there's kiosks and self-pay for MCQs and side events. We really are moving up in the world.
Yeah, they were at GP Madison. I did Two-Headed Giant with our friend A Little Loaf, and we were able to do that from the laptops, from the kiosks. And it was very simple. It was very easy. The PayPod, the one PayPod I did, I was able to do through that too. Things are getting better. We
are slowly inching our way into the future with paper Magic. I love it. I really appreciate that from CFB. That took some time and effort. I assure you, I know exactly how much time and effort it took.
Back in my day, if you didn't have any kiosks in your opening hand, you could show your opponent.
Wow.
And then take a mulligan.
Wow. Well, look, there was an announcement this week from EDHREC, EDHREC.com. EDHREC.com is basically the largest, or one of the largest, commander-focused sites on the internet.
And I love it.
Oh, it's amazing.
That site is amazing.
They collate things like most popular commander, most popular cards played in decks with that commander, stuff like that. And they have officially announced Oathbreaker support. Now, Oathbreaker is a new commander format. Hold on, Aaron. Hold up. Let me explain. First of all, it's a 60-card format. You have your commander, you have the signature spell, and 58 cards. Same rules in terms of commander and color identity stuff. You can play your commander as in the being your planeswalker. So the planeswalkers are the Oathbreakers. So you can play your planeswalker from the command zone. It acts just like the command zone. If it leaves the battlefield, it goes to the command zone and costs 2 more. The signature spell cannot be played unless your Planeswalker is on the battlefield. Okay, so there's that. And you have 20 life, and it's a multiplayer only format, and it has its own ban list, and that's it. That's it. That's just your format. That's it. And so they added support for that, which means you can now go to EDHREC and take a look at the top Oathbreakers and signature spells like Arlen Court and Moonmist, or Nicol Bolas Dragon God and the Elder
Which
Spell.
is still not a combo, people. Moonmist and Arlen Court are still not a combo.
It's not necessarily a combo, but Saheeli with Thoughtcast is super sweet. I mean, you have Narset with Windfall, which is amazing.
I like that one.
Nissa who shakes the world with Genesis Wave. Like, there's just a ton of really fun, cool, interesting stuff. And because there's only 20 life and not 40 life, not everybody is dirtling their heads off, and you actually kind of have to, make something happen sooner than later. So there's the speed of the format, which is very different from Commander, and there's the feeling. It's almost, the way I would put it, it's almost thematic. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're telling a story with what your Oathbreaker is, and what their signature spell is, and why your deck, the other 58 cards, why they are what they are, and what those things have to do with each other. And that, to me, is really interesting.
Yeah. I like Oathbreaker. I think that it's a thing that I will probably move into at some point, because I just think it's a cool idea. I'm still upset that Arlen Court Moonmist is the most popular combination. But you know what? I guess I have to move on from that.
I mean, the format's young. The format is young.
Yeah, format's young. I get that. I think that I'm probably going to end up building something with the new Kiora. Because I think that there's a lot of space there. Maybe with the Storm make 4/4s card, or I don't know. I haven't really thought about it much yet, but it looks like a cool format, and it's another multiplayer format besides Commander that you can express your individuality. And EDHREC has embraced it, which I really think is important, particularly as the paragon of the community that they are.
Right. And Aaron, here's why it's better and more interesting than Brawl. Hold on. This is why it's way superior than Brawl ever was. Brawl is all about standard. It can only be standard. You have to pick a commander, and then you have standard cards. So it felt like Wizards was saying, you have to buy new standard cards because your Brawl deck is just going to rotate, and you're going to keep those Brawl decks up to date. Instead, Oathbreaker is just like Commander. There's no time restrictions. You can use whatever cards you want for as long as you want. So it's organic and from the community, and not more or less from the top down from Wizards in what looks like a sales tactic.
And the other thing is, you don't have to play it.
So I'm gonna say that I love you guys, and I want the best for you. Do you know how much it's gonna hurt me to see you two holding those little cardboard signs at GPs trying to get people to play this format with you? Like those poor bastards you see with tiny leaders and Frontier and whatever else is going on. I want more for you than that, okay? I want you to play in pods with real people, with real tickets and real prizes. I don't want to see you trolling for play to play some dying format.
First of all, they haven't set aside room for us Commander players.
It would hurt my heart because people are going to look at me and be like, "Isn't that your friend over there?" And I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to be like, "Nope, I've never seen that poor guy." Like,
Yep. I'm just going to go over to my friend's house and play Commander instead of having to go to GPs.
Look, I didn't like tiny leaders because it felt a little arbitrary. And it was just like they were small commanders to be small commanders, and that was the end of it. But to have a Planeswalker and to have a signature spell, again, that to me was like, it's so cool to say, look at these two and why they interact. And let me show you in my deck why this signature spell is so important. That is really sweet. I think Wizards is actually going to latch onto this one because it's similar to Commander, but it's not Commander. It's a very casual product that can appeal to a lot of players, and it's easy to make a boxed product where the front two cards are the Planeswalker and the signature spell, and there's 58 other cards, and they're probably really sweet, and that can be the Commander product for 2020. Because they've been running Commander basically into the ground every single year at this point. And I'm not saying it's terrible or anything, but like maybe they could switch it up with something else that's multiplayer, casual, friendly, not tiny leaders. Because I didn't like tiny leaders. Tiny leaders is like weird and random. But Wizards, for what it's worth, even if they were to adopt this format for anything, important or whatever, I'm guessing they'll probably rename it. I'm just guessing that because it's not EDH, y'all, it's Commander, right? I mean, that came from on high. That did not come from the start. We evolved into that. we didn't just sort of start there. So it's fine. Anyway. Aaron?
You're not going to convince Aaron.
There's no convincing. There never is.
I'm this close to taking a pie bet over this. If we can define like what a successful format is, I might bet a pie over this.
I mean, this would be a weird, like, you know, in a year and a half, if we're still talking about Oathbreaker in any fashion whatsoever, then
that's a little too vague.
Right. So, like, what's the think about it?
Like define this.
Think about it.
I don't think that there's. I don't think there's a way to do it that would quantify it in quite the same way.
All right.
We'll have to noodle on it, but I'm open.
We're going to have to move on here.
Okay.
Core Set 2020. It has a bundle, as all sets recently, and well, they used to be fat packs before that, and even before that used to include novels and stuff with them. But the idea that you're able to buy a bunch of packs of one set, you have a box that you're able to keep your cards in, they give you some basic lands and stuff, and some other things. That has changed over the years. Well, they're changing again for Core Set 2020. Now, this one, they have, far as I know, gotten rid of the little booklet that used to have a picture of every card in the set. The little player's guide or whatever. I can't remember what they called it. So I think that's dead. It could not be. I'm not sure. Maybe they're not including it. But either way, the contents now for the 2020 bundle are 10 Core Set 2020 booster packs, 20 foil lands, not just regular. So instead of 40 regular lands like you used to get, you get 20 foil, 20 regular, non-foil, 2 reference cards, 1 foil promo card. That's brand new. They've never done that to the bundles, as far as I know. 1 oversized spin down life counter.
That sounds cool.
Because there's spin downs. And I think I have one. I do not have one. There's spin downs.
Who uses that?
Well, I thought there was one nearby, but either way,
you have a guitar within grabbing distance, but not
not a spin down.
Hey, priorities, y'all. Now listen.
Yeah, true.
All I'm saying is that this is going to be an oversized die of some nature, which is, I think, pretty cool. That's a sweet thing. And of course, you have the reusable card storage box that it comes in. So the idea that they're kind of switching these up, whatever the promo is going to be hugely important. Does it change, or is it just one promo? And of course, what's the promo? And so all those things are going to be unique and different, and this is just a change to the bundle.
I like it.
And neither games have.
Good.
Yes.
You know, you always need to be changing and growing and trying new things. So, you know, while it's kind of weird to change this thing that has been, you know, going strong. I mean, it's been the same thing for a long time, so maybe that's just the reason, change for change's sake. The oversized die is the most exciting part for me. I mean, I think we all have like a goldfish bowl full of D20s that have whatever pre-release set symbol is on them. So to have something slightly different on that front is the most exciting part for me.
So moving on here to Desperate Ravings. We touched on it a little bit earlier. There has been a clear reduced enthusiasm, I guess is the way I would put it, for Grand Prix and Grand Prix coverage.
Yeah.
Chris Pikula kind of essentially running out there. He underestimated how much 0 GP coverage would kill his fever for competitive Magic.
Aww.
And it's tough because, again, if you think of these as the premier events, they're the echelons of the echelon or whatever, you know, they're not an amateur circuit, right? This is the big leagues. Well, we don't see the big leagues anymore. They took the MLB off TV, and it turns out we don't really care that much about baseball when we don't get to see the players and the teams do the thing. Jon Finkel, Johnny Magic himself, said it's a slow burn for me, but the nail in the coffin was when invites to the biggest tournaments, with very limited qualification, were determined in part by streaming, social media presence, and how much WotC liked them. And we've more or less been over that in different ways. Well, as Zac Hill, former developer, said, I also was surprised how immediately I stopped caring about GPs. And I don't disagree, to the point where, like, I think people start to get more excited about the SCG Open Series coverage than anything Wizards is doing.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks to, you know, these are some of the growing pains having to do with the shift in focus of what matters in competitive Magic. This touches on the size of the GPs as well, and how many people are going to them anymore. There was some anecdotal stories from, I'm thinking specifically of Andrew Ellenbogen, who said that he qualified for his first Pro Tour at a 2,000 person GP, and that was not uncommon. And now GPs are less than 1,000 people again.
Do we have a Hall of Fame?
Right, that too.
Can somebody answer me that? Can somebody tell me what an MPL is?
We do because somebody was removed from it. That's the only reason I know. So
you can't be removed from something that don't exist.
It's true.
Something ...
No takesies backsies. Yeah, I mean, they're not wrong. I kind of miss having GP coverage as an option, just to sort of have on in the background while I'm doing stuff around the house. I'm not really watching the MPL. I haven't really heard discussion about the MPL really, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the confusion over exactly what it is and how it the messaging has just not been there for the MPL. I honestly don't know when it is.
Yeah. You don't know when it is, and that's not what we watched Magic for, where it's like, if you wanted to watch the same player, you could just go to their individual stream and do that. But one of the nice things about coverage was that you did get to see a variety of players and a variety of decks. And, sometimes the attendance would spike because the player you like was top 8 and you don't normally get to see them. People don't want to see the same 32 people, much less...
like, are we serious? Like, look, they said, and there's something I've noted here from the chat. David EMSA said that WotC said Hall of Fame will be voted in the usual way this year. It will be different after that. Dude, if I'm voting for streamers to get in the Hall of Fame, I'm kind of going to be pissed about it. I'm not going to lie. You can't tear it. There's only so far you can go down the integrity chain where I just start to get really upset at what you're trying to do to an established institution. This is weird.
Yeah, I think that, that's going to be a discussion for another day, of course.
It is.
I think that another issue that Magic is running into is a tale as old as time when it comes to pitch streaming, which is show up every week at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Prix, you could reliably tune in on Saturday and Sunday and watch your Grand Prix coverage. You could reliably count on the Pro Tour coverage. You could reliably count on the Super League coverage on your Tuesday night. Yep. We didn't have a regular viewership anywhere near our size right now for a long time because it took us the better part of a year, really, of regular Wednesday shows to have people think about showing up every week. And when we have off weeks, when we have to do a Tuesday or a Thursday makeup show, it's less viewership because we just don't show. It's not the normal time. It's no fault of anyone. It's just how human beings are. And so to institute a new show and expect it to get the viewership numbers of a Grand Prix, we're replacing all of the Grand Prix money with MPL money. So to expect all of those viewers to come over to the MPL is foolish.
Yeah.
It may happen.
And in such a short amount of time, too. Like, they're expecting results right out of the gate when, most podcasts need at least 10 episodes to get going, and we needed at least a year to find our footing. And so it's just, I just don't know anybody. And part of our job is to kind of, look at opinions and see what people are talking about. And maybe I'm, certainly just following the wrong people or going to the wrong places, but I'm just not seeing the excitement over those weekly events. No one's talking about.
And again, maybe it's something like it took us a year. Maybe it takes the MPL a year, right? Maybe it takes them a while.
But they have more on the line than we do. They can afford to wait a year, though. We could, because we were beholden to nobody. But if, they're so desperate for this to work, can they wait a year to do that? And if not, what are they willing to do to make it happen?
Yeah, I think the first week it felt like they clearly bought views. Somehow 50,000 people were watching your week 1 MPL for real. Okay, just saying. But it was very similar to the Mythic Invitational where there's 100,000 people watching. Really? How many people are in the chat room again? So there's that. It's 50,000 viewers and nobody's talking, says Spin-12, which I agree with. But let's go on here to more positive things.
Mm-hmm.
Magic Arena has hit 1 billion games played. A billion. That's a lot. That's
Billion's a lot. That's a huge number. So there was some napkin math that was done at some point, I think by Saffron Olive, who said that about 74 days in, there was 250 million, which means that the rate has accelerated since then,
right?
Which is good news.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. Arena is a success. Arena is huge. And it is all signs point to Arena working and being what they wanted it to be.
Well, the code you can redeem in the Magic Arena store is 1 billion, both words all together, ONE billion, to redeem.
And capitalized, capital O, capital B.
What does that get you?
It
Gets you 1 pack of War of the Spark for free.
8 cards. Yep, including a rare or a mythic.
10 cards.
Oh, was it 10? I thought it was 8. Okay.
Whatever.
Oh, no, well, no, I don't know anymore. Anyway, the point is, let's move on to additional good news. Christian Hauck, if I'm saying that correctly, went from 0 to Mythic number 1 in 20 hours and 59 minutes.
Nice.
That's
a grind.
Incredible.
That's a grind that a lot of the Hearthstone folks used to do. There was like a dozen streamers that would try to race to be the first legend of the month.
Mm-hmm.
And this reminds me of that. It's pretty funny.
Nice. He's okay.
Christian Hauck is a professional MTG player. He competes in the Magic Pro League, but obviously took an awesome challenge and ran with it.
Yeah,
so
then he just fell asleep for 16 hours. I'm sure.
So this is his. Like, he's not going to lose that, or does he have to?
Oh no, he will lose it. Yeah.
At the end of the month, it all resets, and you go back to like a lower level.
Well, and also since then, other streamers have gotten to Mythic and had a better record at Mythic, and so they've hit number 1, and it's part of the ladder still.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, once you get to Mythic, there's like a percentage that you get into, and then if you keep winning, you actually get ranked. Like, I think out of 1,000 plus, they'll actually show you your ranking. So you'll start at like 863, and if you win, you'll get to like 721 or whatever, and you'll kind of bounce around those numbers until you get near the top. Okay. So that was cool. Running out of time here, and we made a joke out of the splash damage topic, so we didn't want to put on those toes. So I think
no worries. We're good.
It's okay. Well, it is, and it is really cool. And obviously, we'll make fun of it here shortly. But it's important to note, as we move over here into splash damage, that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has added the definition of and a penalty for rules lawyers. They call them rules sharks, but it's the same thing. You know that one person at your LGS who just comes up with some BS, and you touched your thing before you said whatever, and you shook your head.
They exist in real life too. I had a man call me the other day who was trying to do something with his investments. He was like, if the market closes at 4 and the restriction goes away here, and it's like, sir, you cannot do this. And if you ever try calling a mundane a rules lawyer, it's hilarious because they have no idea what it means.
Sir, this is a Culver's.
Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. So yeah, I don't, sort of like their definition is someone who makes it like a negative experience or whatever. They attempt to gain unfair advantage over another person or turn penalties against another person, seeking loopholes in policy in attempt to gain an unfair advantage or attempt to use rulings or policy to misrepresent the game state. There's a whole bunch of that stuff, and one of the things that the Magic judges that were speaking of it were saying was look, if you rules lawyer, you're wasting the judge's time, which is unsporting conduct. Mm-hmm. So you can definitely see it that way. But rules lawyers are generally miserable human beings a lot of the time and make things miserable for other people a lot of the time. So, those people getting punished for doing so, I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over those. I'm just going to be honest.
Rule shark. I had to. I'm sorry.
If you had Aaron Campbell in your betting pools for the person on the cast that would be singing this episode, collect your winnings at the window.
Very nice, very nice. All right, so that said, we'll get to our thanks, and as soon as I'm done with that, we'll go ahead and do the giveaway here. All right, let's see here. Micro Ada 6. I can't do this. You can make me do this.
Wow.
Resub for 4 months. Thank you so very much. Let's see. Beyond Sadistic resub for 10 months. Thanks a lot. Michael Lorg resub for 3 months. Says fun. That's great. House of Shadow resub for 13 months. Hello, is it me you're looking for? Spiff-O-Matic resub for 2 months. Thank you so much. That's a big one. That means you like the channel enough to come back for another sub. That's awesome. Super Nintendo Chalmers 1998 resub for 10 months. That's post baby. Me fail English. That's impossible, they say.
Nice.
Undead Thor TV.
Always with the Simpsons quotes.
Absolutely. Undead Thor TV resub for 4 months. Thank you so much. Bully Man resub for 2 months. Again, that's a big one. 2 months. And now 2 Command Zone cards in Oathbreaker. What a time to be alive. Tell you what. And Blue Monkey 477. Oh, Blue Monkey has subscribed very much. Thank you very much. Welcome to the channel. All right, let's go ahead and get ourselves a giveaway winner. You can
do the bits?
Yeah, go ahead, Ruben. You go ahead and do the bits.
All right. It's because Aaron planted the idea in my head. We're gonna do the cheers to the tune of Baby Shark. Here we go.
Oh, you can't forget Tina Kai. He said.
Oh yeah, Toddy Kai did 2 months and wanted to make sure that we mentioned it in case we missed it because he did it early.
You did. I apologize.
They did it early.
Toddy Kai, why is that on my list? That's really weird. All right. Well, I apologize for that.
Yeah, they did it early, so no worries.
All right. Well, either way, Tatakai, you rule. Thank you very much.
Here we go. To the tune of the internet sensation and Aaron Campbell cover of Baby Shark, the bits. Carsma 778 give us 5 bits. And Andrew 10 bits. This did not work out well, but we're gonna go the whole way. So Shadow 69 bits. Nice. Thunder voiced _1 200 bits.
Aaron, come on.
Sexy soy 200 bits. El Cows 300 bits. And eternally tribal 1,234 bits. And we're done.
This is me watching you with the GP trying to find people to play.
That was really bad. It was really, really, really bad. And we don't have to do that again.
And we made fools of ourselves in front of hundreds of people.
Wow.
That's good times right there. Well, look,
that was the worst of the ones that I've ever done.
As we turn the corner to the finisher, our trading card game cousins once removed, Yu-Gi-Oh! Recently added a rules update that codifies what a rule shark is, and that attempting to, quote, shark the rules is punishable by unsporting behavior. Quote, official policy documents may not serve as a resource for persons to attempt to take advantage of one another through rule sharking, or otherwise attempting to influence the decision of judges or tournament officials. Rule sharking is defined as using rules and policy in an attempt to gain an advantage instead of to ensure fair.
You didn't do the giveaway, Evan.
And consistent gameplay. See, I was going to do the giveaway and then throw him to the bits, and then
Baby Shark happened.
And Miker86, who subbed earlier, congratulations, is your winner.
Can't work under these conditions.
I can't handle. This is the level of unprofessionalism. Jesus. Okay, look. So again, sharking is rules, policy, gain advantage. You got it. You understand it. So congratulations, See Aaron, she's probably got you blocked. It's fine. It's normal. That's good.
We'll work past it.
It's fine. So please whisper, hit us up on Reddit, whatever. Okay. So this is on the heels of their recent other rules update hygiene policy that was put in place that we brought up a few weeks ago. And this is, of course, amazing work from the Rules Committee for Yu-Gi-Oh! And it got me thinking, what rules updates are you hoping for in the future, Aaron?
Well, in the July update, the EDH Rules Committee is instituting a new rule, which states that when a player is targeted by a spell or ability, that player has not only the right, but the responsibility to respond tenfold, heretofore to be called the Aaron Campbell Decimation Rule.
Nice.
Just the hold a grudge for eternity rule.
I'm still going to block Tappy for that Bajuka Bog. I'm just not saying when.
Crazy. Ruben?
In the next tournament policy update, Wizards of the Coast is instituting a new rule that states that for every round that you go to time, you get 1 fewer turn in extra turns for ensuing infractions. This is going to be called the slow poke.
Oof.
Wow, the slow poke rule.
Slow poke.
Nice. Well, look, on the heels of Mythic Championship 4 in Barcelona, a.k.a. Pro Tour Crowdsource, Magic hopes to avoid future consternation with the next Tabletop Mythic Championship 6 in Richmond by instituting a new rule where players entering MCQs must soon pass a background credit check, deposit a down payment on their potential flight, and, of course, provide proof of royal lineage on letters of writ before being allowed to enter, thereby ensuring that members of the proletariat won't sully the event with their unwashed presences, henceforth called the Sperling Initiative.
Oh, man. Brutal.
Boom, 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 boom. Okay. That ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to all the awesome people in chat tonight.
You guys are great. Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks for hosting. See you next week. See you next week. Good night, everybody.
As we go to our final slide, I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-host, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bresler, you guys for watching and listening, and hope you support us at patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social tells people we exist. Catch us online at our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mics, on Twitter at Magic Mics Cast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at magicmicspodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at magicmicspodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.
Do.
Can you not?